Chapter 2, Know Thyself. Friends, we're going to take up here what has been shown and proved in over 60 years of research work. We have the scientific proof today that every function, everything in this whole universe is divine. Name that divinity what you will. The greatest name is the word God. Why? We can show you today that that word vibrates at the rate of 186 billion beats a second. And we know people capable of intoning that word. But the beauty of it is, the moment that you realize that vibration, you are that vibration every time. Now it is established in every form. It isn't just your form or the form of anybody else. It is established in everything, and were it not for that divinity, we are proving today that we couldn't take a photograph. There wouldn't be a form in this room that we could photograph today if it were not for that divinity. Now we have absolute proof of that. Then why say that I am not divine? You just leave the not out of that and see what difference it will make. I am divine. And there's the truth about yourself. The untruth is, I am not divine. The truth is, I am divine. Complete the saying and carry right through. God, I am. We make those statements for the very reason that we know today. You have been told that. Yes, but what someone else tells you, you may take with a grain of salt, or you may say, well, perhaps that person doesn't know. But today we know through experiment and photography and high magnification, and we can take any person and ask him to sit before this camera under high magnification, and it will show that divinity every time. Our bodies started from the one cell, and the multiplication of that cell built this body. And we can show through high magnification today that that light never ceases. It is transmitted from one cell to the other as this body is built up. It doesn't matter what you think about it or what you say about it. It is established in that vibratory frequency, and it never goes out of that frequency. There is proof of these things today. The eye, one of the greatest things in our body today, is also adjusted. The rods and cones and the retina are so adjusted that they take in that divinity. The moment that we realize that divinity, our eye becomes adjusted to it and the frequency that it moves forth at, and it can be shown that those who have not in any way impaired their sight, that they themselves see that almost immediately by their acceptance that they are divine. Now, divinity is God in everything, in every form. The Christ means the power to realize that divinity within. Then don't we see the Christ in every face, in every form? That was one of the very first statements that Jesus made. We find that in our research work. I see the Christ in every face, in every form. When the first child was born, the Christ was born. That is the conquering Christ, the one that conquers, the master of everything. There isn't a person today, but what is the master? Now, the moment you say that, people begin to look for a master. The moment you look without for the master, you forget all about the master within. And humanity has made the greatest mistake by looking for God or trying to see God. Why? Because you are looking for that which is right within you. And then you pronounce that you are that. You are every time. We can show you that if you will use the word God once, in standing before that high magnification, your body will never go back to the same frequency and vibration that it was before you used that one word. Another thing, we can show that the word God is so established in a book that that book has a greater eminence because of the presence of that word. We have 3 men who can intone that word to 186 billion vibrations a second. We ask them to go to the 180th parallel, which is the farthest you can get away from Greenwich on this planet. Then, at a certain stated time, we arranged this instrument so that it recorded the vibration that they intoned. Just as soon as that frequency came in, the hand went right up to that point. Now we put the oldest Bible in the Museum of Natural History in London under that instrument. Then we gradually removed that book and slipped in a book in which the word God was not recorded, and the instrument went right back. Then we took a third book in which the word God was recorded only 3 times, and the instrument responded immediately. Just one word, God, was responsible for this response and frequency. If it will do that to an inanimate thing, what will it do to our body form by the positive use and acceptance of the word God? With the voices of 3 men intoning the word God at 186 billion vibrations a second, the graph goes across a 30-foot film. Then, with these same men using the word Jehovah, it marks only about 5 inches on that same film. Why? The moment that you use the word God with understanding and belief and knowing, you are setting up the greatest vibration that is known today. And that vibratory influence collects substance. And the moment that you put out your thoughts, a condensation of that substance is yours. And in fact, to put it forth in the right order, you can't keep those things from you. Now, that is what belongs to everyone. Every good thing that they can use. You set up that vibratory influence and it manifests here and now. There is a very definite principle that we are working on today, that principle of divinity in everything. This has been proved by our camera taking photographs of past events. We can show that every blade of grass, every tree, every shrub, every flower, every seed is divine. And were it not for that divinity, that seed would not grow, nor the plant, nor the tree. And we can show you definite photography today that that germ in that seed has the exact replica of the form that it will bring forth every time. Then why do we go about saying we don't understand? Isn't it greater to say, I do understand? You do understand. That understanding is right within yourself. You are the master of those things, and by letting go of outer appearances, you master the thing within, accepting and recognizing that you are the master. Many people write and ask if they cannot go to see the masters, or what must they do to see the masters. The moment you step out from yourself with your thought that you wish to see a master, you have lost sight of the master within. When you recognize and become aware of that, you are with the master, and you are with all of them. Now just let someone say, I am not God. Then stop for a moment and take that not out. That is a negative word, and it has no frequency in vibration whatever. You give it the energy that keeps it living by pronouncing it, and the moment you refuse to pronounce that word, it has no energy of its own. There is a camera that shows you that today. You can actually sit before that camera and make your statement. Don't say a word, but think it, and we will give you your exact thoughts from the graph shown on the film. Then we ask for a statement with a negative word, just to see what happens. And when it comes to that negative word, there is no graph on the film. It simply is not recorded. That camera is showing today the great frequency of vibration of the human form, and if that frequency was not there, we would not get it. And if there were any hypnosis used, it would not record. We have taken over 400 or 500 pictures of the fakirs in India, and wherever hypnosis is used, the camera doesn't get it at all. We have had 2 or 3 very remarkable instances among those hundreds of pictures taken. On one occasion, we were returning to our home in India, and when we arrived, there was a man standing just inside the gate. He had placed an orange seed in the ground, put his little mantilla over it, and it was coming up. He removed the mantilla, and the orange tree came right on up, and in 45 minutes, apparently, there was a tree there, the branches, the buds, the flowers, the leaves, and then the ripe oranges. We were taking pictures of that. There were 12 cameras in the group, and we ourselves were so deceived at that time that we stepped up and attempted to pick oranges off the tree. And the tree wasn't there. One of the men developed 2 of those films, and I kept the young fakir in conversation until they returned with those 2 films. I unrolled one before him and said, "How come? You fooled us, but you didn't fool the box." He was quite perturbed over it and said, "Tomorrow you come, I show you." It was agreed we would meet on the following day at 11 o'clock. The next day we were all on hand at the appointed hour, and we had exchanged cameras. On this occasion, the young fakir brought with him a man whom none of us had ever met before. He came forward willingly, put the seed in the ground. Our group was taking pictures all the while. The tree came up in identically the same way. We all saw it. This time, we wouldn't attempt to go up and try to pick oranges off the tree. We had been so badly deceived the day before. Finally, the chief said to us, "Well, what's the use? If it isn't there, then let's find it out." He walked up and picked an orange off the tree and ate it, and each one of us did likewise. That tree is still bearing oranges in our place in India. Here is what happened. The young fakir was the chela of the old guru. When we explained to the guru what had happened the day before, he became quite irritated and dismissed the chela and refused to have anything more to do with him. He told us that they carry their chelas through all of the 12 methods of hypnotic influence to show them that there is no existence there, that nothing is accomplished there. But if we will let go of them all and be this, then everything we do comes forward. It comes under the art or law of suggestion, and we have studied it in India. For example, we see a man come out with a rope in his hand. A small group who are curious gather around him, and he throws the rope up in the air apparently, and then calls a boy out of the group to climb the rope. Maybe the boy disappears at the top of the rope, and that is all that is necessary. The man collects a few coins, enough to give him a living for a few days. Now we have taken pictures in 500 instances of those exhibits, and the camera gets nothing on the film but the man standing there before the group. There is your power of suggestion. It is brought out so definitely that you stand there and believe it. The old guru is working with us today over in India. We take a seed, plant it in the ground, irrigate the soil mechanically, and in 7 minutes we have a stalk of corn with 2 ears fully developed. This old guru, when he puts a seed of corn in the ground, before he raises up, the plant stands before him. He has no mechanical devices at all. He just knows. Now there is the best evidence in the world that we ourselves are perfectly capable of that accomplishment. It belongs to everybody. If anyone ever accomplished those things, then all have the privilege. No one is selected. Each one has the ability within himself. There is nothing complicated, in fact. It is very simple, and we need no lessons. It is merely bringing one to the point where he sees or is aware of the advantage of accepting those things, and then giving thanks that they are. This power is present and works in everything, in our daily living, even in the money that we use. There is no need of anyone being in want. There is no want, in fact. We simply fail in our expression, and we call it lack. Now let go of another fail. There is no failure. Many of our medical scientists today are saying that in the future, man will live 100 years longer than he does today. Age is simply a state of consciousness, and when man learns to let go of old age, he will go on and on. A year makes no difference in our thought structure until we say that 1 year has passed. Then we immediately qualify it with 1 year older. Whereas if we would think of it as a year of greater accomplishment and achievement, a year of greater illumination and understanding, it would be just that. The greatest thing that we can do is to see the divinity in every face, in every form. Our greatest privilege is to see the Christ in every face, and that means the unlimited power to know God within. We can go right back to all of those things and prove them today. We don't ask you to take them on hearsay. You can prove it for yourself by letting go of old age, of limitation, and all negative thoughts, refusing to use them or accept them in your world. We know historically that about 3,000 years ago, one language that was spoken did not have a negative word in it, and that language goes back for over 200,000 years.